What's up YouTube, and welcome to another of my E24 BMW project videos. Today we're going to be working once again on my 1984 635 CSI Euro spec, and we are once again visiting something that I've repaired on this channel before. Yes, this has almost become an annual occurrence. So here we have our heater monovalve unit, which is kind of buried under this wire here. It's this whole contraption here, and the insert in that, or the monovalve, is what typically goes bad on these. There are several third-party versions of that you can purchase. You cannot purchase the original insert from Bosch any longer. They no longer make it. BMW will sell you the whole unit as a kit, but it is very expensive. And I also question the quality of what the insert is that's being used in those, because even my last Bosch OEM replacement insert failed on me. So we're going to explore a new option today because my most recent attempt has once again failed. If you saw my prior video, we decided to try the latest player on the market, which is the Euro brand parts, URO, heater valve repair kit. This lasted about 5 months before it failed. So I do not at all recommend this. Prior to that, we used another third-party player, which is the MTC insert. That failed on me as well. And even prior to that, I had used the official Bosch insert, which you can no longer get. This is the part number. It's no longer available. And essentially, you are repairing or replacing this unit here. So we're going to go a step beyond today and look at the newest player on the market and see if we get a better result. Reviews are good, but I haven't seen anybody else install it, so I figured I'd make a quick video just showing you what we're going to start with today. So, bam. This is a brand called Klima or Klima. I don't know how you pronounce it. Obviously stands for climate control. And this is their hole insert that actually replaces the plastic housing that everything goes into and changes the insert itself to a more modern, more efficient unit. So the promise is better heat, more reliable service, and no need to constantly replace the monovalve like we've seen in the past. This does work for several BMW vintage models, E12, E28, E24, obviously E23, things like that. And you can go on their website and find the application specific to your model. This is the one that works for the 6 Series. The actual design of it is very similar, but the plastic mount has different inlets and outlets depending on which series BMW you're putting it in. The Bosch monovalves also work with several vintage Mercedes models of the 80s, and they have Mercedes applications of this you can purchase as well. Once again, this is not a sponsored video. I did pony up the money for this. This is about 250 bucks. So it's not cheap, but it is actually a little bit less than the whole new unit from BMW. But time will tell if it's a better quality unit, and that's really the goal here. So this is what you get from Klima when you order your unit. And essentially what they've done is they've replaced the factory monovalve unit and where it mounts to the top of the plastic housing and the inlet and the outlet with this other version of that. I've read things like this is from like a European Ford Transit van, and that's not exactly the most luxurious thing that you're putting in your BMW, but if it does work and it's time tested and proven, who knows. Couldn't find any markings on the valve itself as far as like what its origin is, but they assure you that it is a top quality part and a better replacement than stock. The other piece of the unit is you get a 3D printed plastic mount for everything that will replace the factory shape of everything that you're replacing. I kind of wish they had found a way to integrate this new valve into the factory design, but obviously that probably wasn't going to work, so they did the 3D printed route. I'm not a massive fan of 3D printed stuff. I just think it looks kind of tacky, to be honest. But if it works, I guess. The other thing I'll say about this is it's actually a pretty heavy unit, so I can definitely tell the quality of the actual valve itself. Like, it's got some heft to it. But you do have your electrical connection on the top, which mounts in the factory location, and you've got a heater hose insert here and also on the bottom for the coolant to flow through the unit. So I decided, since I'm going to do the full surgery this time and replace the whole unit, the hoses are obviously going to have to come off. I would go a little bit more in depth with my replacement. And I've also replaced some factory parts along the way here too. So I decided to do the 2 heater hoses that go into that unit. I've never changed them before, so they are very old, and honestly I would not be shocked if they are original to the car. So I think it's time, and you can still get these from BMW. It did take me about 3 weeks to get them from Germany. It's not something your local warehouse is likely to have in stock. But I will pause here on the part number 64211374637 for one of the water hoses. And that's your curved hose that looks like this. This one goes into the heater core and then to the base of the 3D printed unit that we're going to install. I also purchased the larger water hose that hooks up to that, and that is this more straight hose, which goes into a metal connection for coolant to flow through on the other side, and then it also flows into our new 3D printed unit. This one obviously doesn't sell that frequently because the outer bag that they sent it in is actually fresh, but the inner bag, you can tell this part label's been through the ringer. So this rubber probably has a few years on it just from sitting in parts warehouses. But if you want to order this one, the part number is 64211374636. And this is the more straight hose, as I would call it. Kind of looks like that in the bag. And then just to be fancy, I also decided to replace the 2 rubber mounting grommets that go into basically the sides of the unit on your car. Again, I'm sure mine are original, so why not replace the rubber while you're at it. This one, part number 64111369672, and you will need 2 of them, 1 for each side. So if you want to get fancy like that, you can replace all that. But other than that, I'm going to dig into the car. I do expect this to be a messy process, so you're probably not going to get to see the full video of everything being installed with the new heater valve, but I'll try to give some updates along the way, or at least what it looks like all installed in the mix. So wish me luck. I'm going to go ahead and start making a mess of coolant everywhere, and we'll see how that goes. Catch you back on the flip. All right, just an update. I thought I'd show what it looks like once you get everything out. It is messy. There's coolant that went everywhere. I didn't have a pan underneath it, so we'll see how much we have to replace after we're done here. But this is, of course, our factory heater valve mount, the whole unit here. You have your one hose that goes to the side here, and then you have the one that comes underneath it, kind of U-shaped, that goes into the heater core. I did not order new hose clamps. That was a mistake by me, so I'm gonna have to reuse these. They look like they're gonna be in pretty good shape once I clean them up. They're the original BMW clamps. But just be ready, like I said, for coolant to go everywhere. There's a lot of coolant even still in this unit right now that I've got plugged right now with the towel. But I wanted to show the long hose just side by side. These are definitely ready for replacement. You can see this one was all bulged out at the end here, so very happy I'm replacing those. And then even the U-shaped one, this is the new one, is going to be a lot better than the other one. So I think what I'm going to do is transfer my hose clamps over to the new unit, hook up the hoses to that side of it while I have it outside of the car, because some of these hose clamps are actually really hard to get to. And then I think with my extensions and wobblers that I use to get it out, make the final connections. Just wanted to also make a call out here that the hose, the U-shaped hose, goes underneath to a T connection. I'm not sure I can get it down there enough, but there's basically a T where another hose goes into the top that goes to the block, I believe, and then this one is the one below it is the one you have to remove, so that's a little tricky when you get down there too. But like I said, messy but not terrible, just a little bit difficult with access. Just like I said, get yourself some wobblers and extensions, you'll be able to get those hose clamps off. So let me transfer everything to the new unit and start to put this on, and I'll hopefully have another update here for you soon. All right, I'm about to install everything back onto the car, but I wanted to give you a view of all the new pieces with everything kind of as much installed as possible before it goes back onto the car. So a couple things here. We have mounted our 2 new hoses along with the 4 hose clamps. I've got the 2 ends that need to connect just on loose, and then I've tightened the other 2 sides. Just be careful because those do need to be directional, so you have access to those if you ever need to take this off again in the future. Just a couple other things here. I did put in the 2 new rubber grommets that don't come with the new unit. I've installed those 2 right there and there. And then the little metal insert, I reused those from the original ones. Those are easy, they just pop right out, hollow on the other end. But you will need those to mount the screws just to put this into place. So I've got those 2 moved over to the unit here. And then just be careful with the hoses that they are pointing the direction that they need to go for the new unit, because they are directional as far as how they mount into the car. So Figured this would be easier to show before I get it all hooked back up, but this should work hopefully with the hoses attached. If not, I may have to take one off, reallocate everything into the car, and then attach the hose again. So we'll see how this goes. But hopefully my next update will be with everything put into place. So hold tight and we'll see how it goes. All right, we have everything installed. Not too painful, honestly, but I do recommend hooking those hoses up outside of the car like I did and showed you in the last video clip. So here we have our top hose going across, and I don't know if we can see where that hooks up to the metal pipe, but there's another hose clamp down there. We got that tied on there. And then on the other side here, we have the hose coming out of the base, and then that goes into the firewall here, into our heater core, with a hose clamp on both sides of that. Interesting, just the fit of the new unit. Obviously our side mounts here for the whole unit itself go into the stock locations, no change there, and you use the same screws. Just notice a little bit of a cant, I guess, to the way that this lays in, but I think it's more just how the hose is pulling it away from the actual shape right now. Other than that though, it's good and tight, it's not going anywhere. Feel good about that. And then just a reminder, you do have to hook in your power connection here to the front. That hooks into the new unit as well. So I think at this point we're going to add some coolant to the car, see if it needs a bleed, and then hopefully get on the road and see how our heat is. Everything that the manufacturer is promising is as good or better than the factory heat control, so we'll see how this new unit works out. But overall, pretty pleased with how everything mounted. Just a little bit of time consuming with just getting all those hose clamps in place. But other than that, not too bad of a job. Obviously, we did lose some coolant along the way, so would recommend putting a pan underneath whenever you're doing the install. But we will see if this unit works longer than, say, the 6 months or so I've been getting out of the aftermarket ones. I think that's the big hope for this. So much more expensive unit, and hopefully will be worth the extra money that we spent on it. So let's get this all buttoned up, and we'll see how it does in the car on the road. All right, so here we are back in the car. Everything is warmed up to operating temperature here, and we have gone ahead and set our heater controls. Really impressed, honestly, because I have, well, let me explain the hieroglyphics here, because BMW heat controls don't make a whole lot of sense. So this is your top vents, which you typically want closed whenever you're doing heat. You get better heat out of the lower vents. This is your fresh air vent, which is also closed to get maximum heat. And then this is your lower vents, which we have turned all the way to the max. Fan speed, obviously, and then this is your temperature control. The big thing that I noticed even with that last replacement is that I lost a lot of the variability in temperature control and really would only get heat or no heat. There was like not really any in between. So what I have already tested now that the car is up to operating temperature is if I put it all the way to cold, you can feel that the heater valve is closing and everything is just kind of going back to whatever fresh air is coming through. And then as you start to turn the dial up, about here is typically where the old heater valve would kick in. And I would say for a day like this, about here is where a nice comfort level is. But I've also done the liberty of turning it up to about 3/4 of the way and pretty much instantly hellfire in the car, which is kind of what this thing was known for to start with the original valve. BMWs this era have terrible air conditioning, but honestly they have really good heat when everything is functioning correctly. So I would say the heater valve is working absolutely as intended. I'm pretty happy so far. The only question now is reliability, and is this one going to hold up? But I think due to the design of it and using a whole different valve itself, we should be in pretty good shape. So since I am now cooking, we're gonna burn this, or turn this back down a little bit, because I am burning. And overall, I think we're gonna call this a success. So if you're interested, you can see the product at the beginning of the video and all the additional things. I would recommend changing those hoses. Mine were absolutely petrified, so it was time for those to be fixed as well. But thank you for watching. Please take a moment, like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think, and I will talk to you soon. Have a great day or night, wherever you are.